You know that feeling when you finally decide to upgrade your pool cleaning routine. You snag a cheap robotic vacuum online, only to discover a week later that it can't even climb the pool wall and you're left scooping the waterline by hand? I've been there, and the regret that follows makes me pause before I click Add to Cart on any budget pool cleaner. That hesitation is real because the wrong robot can turn a simple weekend swim into a chore-filled afternoon. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So why am I talking about the Dolphin Proteus DX5i? Because it sits in that middle ground where you're willing to spend a bit more, but you still expect a clear payoff. Less time on manual brushing, less mystery about whether the unit will actually finish the job, and a system that talks to you through your phone instead of leaving you guessing. In the sea of pool robots, the big question is always the same. Does the extra cost translate into real, everyday convenience, or is it just another shiny gadget? Let's start with the basics of what makes a pool robot worth its price. First, it has to understand the pool it's cleaning. The Proteus DX5i is designed for in-ground pools up to about 50 feet long, which covers the majority of residential installations. It isn't a one-size-fits-all toy. It expects a fairly typical pool shape with a consistent slope. If you have a wildly irregular layout with multiple coves, you might still find a few missed spots, but for a standard rectangle or oval it does a surprisingly thorough job. What really sets this model apart is the always-connected Wi-Fi feature. When you pair the robot with the Dolphin app, you get real-time status updates, the ability to start or stop a cleaning cycle from the couch, and even scheduling for different days of the week. I tested this by setting a 2-hour cleaning window for a weekday morning while I was at work. By the time I got home, the pool surface was spotless, and the app confirmed that the robot had completed its route without any hiccups. For anyone who values that set-and-forget vibe, the connectivity feels less like a gimmick and more like a genuine time saver. Now, the waterline is where many pool owners spend the most frustration. Algae and scum love to cling right where the water meets the tile, and most entry-level robots just glide over it. The Proteus DX5i comes with an active scrubbing brush that actually presses against the waterline, rotating as it moves. In my own experience, after a hot summer week when the waterline was a murky green, the robot's brush knocked the buildup loose, and the subsequent rinse left the tile looking almost brand new. That's a practical strength you can see on a weekly basis, not just a marketing line. Filter care is another hidden cost in the pool cleaning world. Many robots force you to dismantle a complicated filter housing after each run, which can be a nightmare for anyone with limited mechanical confidence. The Proteus uses Dolphin's Easy Filter Care system, a single-click release that slides the filter out for a quick rinse. I was able to pop the filter, rinse it under a hose, and click it back in under a minute. That quick turnaround means you can run multiple short cycles a day without feeling like you're doing a chore every time. Of course, no robot is perfect. The first practical weakness I noticed is the battery runtime when you push it to the wall climbing mode. The unit needs more power to lift itself over the lip, so a full-size cleaning cycle on a 45-foot pool will usually finish just shy of the advertised 2-hour window, especially if the pool has a lot of debris. In a typical residential setting, you'll probably want to schedule 2 shorter runs rather than 1 marathon clean. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to plan for if you're hoping for a single-handed solution. Another nuance is how the robot handles large floating debris, like a sudden gust of leaves after a storm. The active scrubbing brush does a great job on the waterline, but the suction and impeller design are tuned more for fine particles and algae than for big chunks. In my testing, a handful of medium-sized leaves would occasionally get tangled around the brush, requiring a quick manual removal before the robot could continue. If your pool is surrounded by a lot of trees, you might still need a net or a weekly surface skimmer to keep the robot from getting stuck. Who should definitely consider the Dolphin Proteus DX5i? First, families that use the pool regularly and want to minimize the weekly pool maintenance time block. If you have kids who splash and create a constant film on the waterline, the active brush will keep that surface cleaner than most competitors. Second, tech-savvy owners who already use smart home devices will appreciate the Wi-Fi integration and the ability to check progress from a phone. Third, anyone who's already invested in a Dolphin ecosystem, perhaps a previous Dolphin cleaner or accessories, will find the brand consistency reassuring. On the flip,